Motorhead Garage is on the road visiting our friends at Steel Rubber, and they are having a car show you will not believe. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Welcome to Steel Rubber Products in Denver, North Carolina. Here you can get just about any rubber gasket or seal made for vehicles in the last 100 years. And look what we came across here. This is a 1949 Divco. When's the last time you saw one of these? Well, there's all kinds of unique and interesting vehicles on the property. A whole lot to cover, so let's get started. Every car has a story, and this car's story starts back in 1969. It's a 69 Mercury Cyclone Cale Yarborough Special. How'd you fall in love with this car?
Well, when I was 9 years old, I met Cale Yarborough at the Mercury dealership and had my picture made with Cale beside one of these. I've always wanted one, but never could find one for sale. So I sold my Fairlane last year and found this car for sale in Chicago, Illinois.
This car's all original, but we know the first thing to go is always the rubber seals. So when you need rubber seals, what's it like to go to Steel Rubber for what you need?
Oh, it's great. Come up here, they always on the money. Got great products, like all original, made out of original material. It works great.
What have you bought from Steel Rubber for this car?
Well, when I got the car, I ordered a trunk rubber from the internet and it didn't work. It would not shut. I had to slam the truck. Come up here, got a piece of trunk rubber, and it shuts fine, just real easy and everything made for it. Perfect.
There are tons of car experts here at the Steel Rubber Show today, and Ray isn't one of them.
Yes,
Ray, you've been at this for a couple of years. You've done a beautiful job on this 84 Monte Carlo. What have you done to it?
So we started out originally with LM7 block, and then we went to AR5 transmission.
One thing that jumps out at me is the turbo. Tell me about that.
7880 oilless turbo. So, you know, as I was doing my research and all the cool kids were doing turbos, I was going to go naturally aspirated initially, but I started looking at the turbos. I didn't want to deal with all the filters, so, you know, every 3,000 miles, just squirt of oil, and then I'm good to go.
This car isn't that old, but how hard is it to find parts for it?
It's super hard, you know, from bushings to all types of rubber fitments. I'm definitely going to be looking into Steel Rubber from here on out. I had no idea this place was here. I learned that they can send you a catalog specifically designed for your vehicle, which would save me hours of research on the internet.
Danny Agosta is one of the folks in charge here at Steel Rubber for putting on this show for National Collector Car Appreciation Day. Danny, why is this the perfect occasion for Steel Rubber to hold such a big party?
Well, it's a national holiday, so it's just the perfect day to get together with our community, with our customers, and have the chance to recognize the hobby and just the camaraderie that you can get in these collector cars.
There's all kinds of cars here, Danny. What kind of rubber seals and parts can folks get for vehicles of all shapes and colors?
I mean, we got so many parts for so many different cars, from bumper to bumper. Everything for glass, doors, trunk, anything to keep the water out, to keep the wind noise out, you know, from molded items to extruded items, RVs and classic cars. I mean, we just have so many different parts, and the idea is just that you want to enjoy your vehicle, and we have the parts to help you do that.
How often are rubber seals and that sort of thing overlooked by people?
You know, it's not necessarily maybe one of the fun things to buy. It's not wheels, it's not gauges, it's not, you know, whatever, but it's absolutely essential, and it goes not just a long way for the performance, the sealing and all that stuff, but it really does make the car look good. Vent window seals, those go bad all the time, and they look a lot better whenever they're fresh.
I've talked to a lot of folks. They appreciate the variety of parts you have at Steel Rubber, but what about the quality? How can they be sure that they're getting good products from Steel Rubber?
Well, I mean, look around. You know, we're making this stuff in North Carolina. We've got our own compounds. They're modern compounds. They're not going to biodegrade like some of the stuff from the original. And there's a tremendous amount of care that goes into it, because we know that the person who's putting this on their vehicle wants it to be right the first time, and wants it to perform and look good and all this kind of stuff. So we go to an extreme length to make sure that all that stuff happens.
Do not go anywhere, because Motorhead Garage, presented by Dragonfire Tools, returns next with more from Steel Rubber. And oh, by the way, you're not going to want to miss this week's Motorhead of the Week.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. And by Campbell's Custom Care, your detail specialist.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com at Steel Rubber in North Carolina. Now, they're putting on a car show here that you would not believe. Wall-to-wall rolling works of art. This place is fantastic. And visitors to Steel Rubber today are getting a nice treat. They're getting a tour of the facility where they make all the molds and extrusions. Now, it all starts in the tool room. That's where they make the molds to make the parts that go on your car, and also the metal core so they can make those parts forever and ever. Now everything leaves there and goes to extrusion. That's where the rubber comes out in strips. They can chop that up and make smaller parts, and then it'll go to molding. That's where two different extruded parts can be put together in a mold to make a single part for your car. This is also where bumpers and that sort of thing that can't be extruded are made. From there, everything goes on to trim and packaging. That's where everything's cleaned up, ready to be put in a package and shipped to you. And of course, if you order something from SteelRubber.com, it usually ships the same day you order it. It'll be right in your living room in a couple of days. When Ben Pepitone bought this 1964 Impala SS over 20 years ago, he made a few upgrades, and the first thing he started with was all the rubber seals, because that's the first thing to go. Where'd you find everything you needed for this car?
Right here at Steel Rubber.
Why did you like going to Steel Rubber for it?
They had everything I needed, and what I didn't need, they made.
How difficult was it 20 years ago to find what you needed for the car?
Very difficult. The internet was very young, and there wasn't a lot of people doing it.
How much on the car is from Steel Rubber?
Well, inside the door jamb, there's little rubbers that where you seal the window, the back window against the front door. That seal is almost impossible to find anywhere else. Also, the back door hinge for the gas door, there's two little rubbers, bumpers. You can't find them anywhere but here.
You can see from the wall of extrusions behind us that Steel Rubber makes seals for just about every vehicle from the last 100 years. But Danny, what if in the rare occasion someone comes across something you don't make, or maybe they're building something that you don't have?
Yeah, even for all the parts that we do have, it happens all the time. So we have a customer that calls in and we don't have it, so we might try to figure out if we've got something that'll match, and that's where we go to this extrusion wall. Hey, yeah, we do have something that'll match your door weather stripping, and that's what we do. And if you've got molded parts, sometimes we'll have that original sent in, so see if it's something we'll make.
And then under what conditions would you make something?
You know, we got to make business sense, but you know, a lot of cars are changing, the demographics are changing. So as we move up into the 80s and 90s, those cars are becoming more popular and the demand goes up, so it becomes a good business decision.
What about the folks that are maybe doing a resto mod or some sort of hot rod that's not really a stock sort of thing? What can you do for them?
Well, that's the good thing. Rubber really translates well to resto mods, and unless you're doing something like a chop top, you know, you're not really modifying a whole lot. But even with chop tops, we can make custom windshield gaskets to, you know, get right in there and right to your dimensions and get you a window gasket.
And if all else fails, Steel Rubber has a universal line. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so our universal line is basically our collection of extrusions that we make on all these other parts. But if you've got something that doesn't quite match, you know, usually we can find something that'll get your window in or get your door sealed, get your trunk sealed, or whatever you need.
You can see vehicles of all kinds here at Steel Rubber today. In fact, if you like vans, they've got them. There's a 66 Ford over there that looks fantastic. Well, this 64 Chevrolet over here, Eric, it's in a little different state than that. So you're going to start restoring it. How hard has it been to find parts for this thing?
Oh, you can't find parts for it. You can find a few that off a truck that'll fit it, and a few off of like a Chevy 2. They use the brakes off it, and a Corvair dash is what goes in it. But other than that, you're junkyarding it for the parts.
Conversely, what's it like when it comes to the window rubbers and all the seals around the vehicle?
Now, Steel Rubber Products makes all that. They make every piece of that. We checked into that before we ever bought the van to make sure that I could at least get it sealed back up and be the way I want it when I'm done.
John Bauer restored this 1932 Ford about 20 years ago, and since then, John, you've driven it about 30,000 miles.
Right.
What's it like to sit behind the wheel of something you worked so hard to restore?
It's kind of unbelievable because it drives so great, goes down the highway, you know, at 75, 80 miles an hour like crazy. And it's a trip seeing all the people rubbernecking to try to look at you and, you know, look over and wave and say hi, and it makes you feel good.
You restored several vehicles. What's it like to work with Steel Rubber to get the parts you need?
Oh, it's great. I mean, the quality's always there, and you know when you get it, it's going to fit.
Well, that's going to do it from Steel Rubber in Denver, North Carolina. But don't you worry, because there's still a whole lot more to come from Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, coming to you from the Campbell's Custom Care Studio.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. You know, when folks are in the industry or maybe off-roading, their vehicle gets into trouble, maybe gets off-road into a ditch or something, Alicia, and they don't put a lot of thought into actually rescuing the vehicle, which is why so many injuries happen every year from vehicle rescue. So what are some of the things that can go wrong when people are trying to get out of trouble?
Typically people end up using what they have on hand. So it can be the trailer ball of the hitch. They'll just put the end on it and they'll just shock load it, and it's not intended for that purpose. So it will shear off and go through the windshield. So you want to eliminate any metal objects from flying back and causing damage.
Yeah, it becomes a slingshot and go through the window and through you and cause injuries or even worse.
Yes.
So how has Ditch Hitch created a solution, and how does it work?
Well, Ditch Hitch has basically made it so that they eliminate all dangerous objects. So the chains coming back, slings with tail chains. So now there's no flying objects. The straps go through the U-bar here. It's engineered, certified to be shock loaded. So you can back up, take a 6-foot run, and just keep doing it. As long as that stuck vehicle moves, you just keep trying, keep moving with it, and you'll get it out.
And here on the Ditch Hitch itself, these only weigh 7 or 8 pounds, and they're made of aluminum, so super lightweight. So how much force can these withstand?
78,000 pounds with a 4-to-1 safety ratio.
This is perfect for folks who love off-roading, but where did it really get proven up in Canada?
It was engineer certified at the University of Calgary by a professional engineer.
And used in the oil fields up in Alberta.
Yes.
So a lot of the major companies up there are using the Ditch Hitch. What have you found from them once they started using it?
Well, they were having incidents constantly, actually, and they went to a no-tow policy. Now that they have implemented the Ditch Hitch, they actually have it in their vehicle recovery solution that it's a Ditch Hitch or a tow truck.
So instead of having to wait for a tow truck, they're able to make the rescue and do it safely, which is the most important thing of all.
Eliminate the incident.
Very good. So what comes with the Ditch Hitch system?
So this is the complete system. It has 2 Ditch Hitch systems. It is engineered certified to Ditch Hitch.
So each vehicle must have one. That's why there's 2 in the kit.
Yes. And then it comes with the fuse link strap. It's kind of the weakest link. The snap trap and the soft shackles comes with 2 of those. You do have the option of the kit when you order that they can do the fuse link strap or the shock load rope.
Why might someone choose the rope over the strap?
Just some people have always used the rope. It's just something they're familiar with, so they have that option to stick with it.
Gotcha. And the snap trap is something that's unique to Ditch Hitch. How does that work?
So the snap trap is a kinetic energy diffuser. So it will absorb the kinetic energy when the fuse link strap snaps back. So you take the fuse link strap, weave it through the snap trap. There's 6 eyes. You kind of just weave it through, placing the snap trap over top of the eye of the fuse link strap into the U-bar.
Gotcha. And then so in the event that the tow strap should actually snap, then it keeps that from snapping back, hitting your vehicle, and hitting anybody that might be around as well.
Yeah.
And we demonstrated that by fraying this a little bit, and you could see that it took that energy and kept this thing from flying and hitting somebody and doing some damage.
Yes.
A very cool system here. And you guys have also safeguarded anybody who might want to get somebody out of trouble. Maybe you're out on the trail or by the side of the road, and you want to make sure that your bases are covered. So you guys have included the checklist as well.
Yeah, so it is a vehicle recovery checklist. There's kind of little items here that you can kind of walk through with the person with the stuck vehicle. You make sure they do not have a bumper mount receiver, that it is frame mounted. You walk through, check everything off, you have both parties sign it, and then this becomes your legal document. So should something happen, then you can take this in and you've saved yourself from any liability issues.
Clearly this system was designed by an engineer who thought of everything. Where do the materials come from, and where's the system made?
So the raw materials come from the United States, and the product itself is actually manufactured in Canada. We try to keep it onshore so we can ensure the safety and the quality of the product.
If I'm using some other system, the snap trap still seems like a good idea. Can I still use it with something besides the Ditch Hitch system?
Yes, it does not matter what system you're using. The snap trap is designed to capture a tow rope, a tow strap, and a winch cable. The only thing that you have to do if you're using an alternative product is to make sure that you take the snap trap and secure it to a secondary location. So whether it be the frame of your vehicle to the eyes on the receiver or a tree, you just make sure it's at a secondary location.
If you're using shackles or a ball hitch, those are not designed to take a shock load. The ditch hitch is. It's the only system that is. You can protect yourself physically, you can protect your vehicle, and protect yourself from liability with the ditch hitch. You can find it at ditchhitch.com. And also, that's where you can look for the son of a hitch for smaller vehicles and UTVs. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com and the Motorhead of the Week coming up.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. AP Laser, leading the way. And by Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977.
Well, Motorheads, you're looking at a radiator there. That one's from a Honda. And here's a cross section of one here. These are the tubes. And of course, we know that fluids pass into the radiator, into the cooler, and it gets the cool air off of there, keeps all those fluids cool, keeps your engine running well at the optimal temperature. And you guys at FVP here, Cam, you guys do an amazing job constructing the coolers on the side of the radiators. Show me how they're built with FVP.
Absolutely. So we always try and put at least the same, if not more, amount of cooling into every radiator that we produce. That way it meets the OE capacity for cooling. And unfortunately, not all of our competitors feel the same.
Unfortunately for you guys.
Right. That makes it nice for us.
Yeah, unfortunate for the folks out there that might buy one of these. So how are they skimping on stuff out there?
So the biggest thing is we'll have guys where they cut down by 60% how much cooling they're actually putting in there, to where you can noticeably see the difference in how much cooling capacity is in that core.
What are some other things FVP is doing to make sure you guys are even above the OEM standards in a lot of cases?
Another thing that we do is these stainless steel reinforcement strips on a lot of the truck applications or anything that's going to be seeing a heavy duty use. We clamp that onto the tank and it actually boosts the clamping capacity by about 40% or so.
Oh, very
so
cool.
You really get a good seal.
That's great. And you guys also go a long way at FVP to make sure that I've got everything I need to install this when it's coming to my door.
Absolutely. So we always include new hardware, that way you don't have to reuse the original stuff, anything that could be worn down, that could even be leaking. So we always try and put new parts in there. We'll even include some of the tools that are necessary if it's a common use item, like on these quick disconnect fittings. We'll include the slip clamp that releases the line out of it.
Well, heat is the enemy and FVP is the solution. You can find their products at rockauto.com, along with all the parts your car will ever need.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could understand the mechanical integrity of your engine? Well, you can. Welcome to this AMSOIL tech tip on taking a compression reading. How do you do it? Real simple. Just go down and get you an inexpensive compression gauge. Here's what you do. You warm up your engine. Once you warm up your engine, be careful, don't burn yourself. Blow out all the spark plug holes and then remove all the spark plugs. Then you can go ahead and block the throttle wide open so you get full airflow into the engine. Once you do that, go ahead and insert the gauge into one of the cylinders. Then disable the ignition. You want the car to crank but not start. Then what you want to do is you want to turn it over for 4 compression strokes. That's 4 cycle strokes, so na-na-na. And once it does that, go ahead and watch your gauge. Now the first time you want it to get at least half the compression, and then check your manufacturer specification. For your compression readings, you need about 90 for the car to fire. Well, what happens if it's low? Well, here you go. 10 to 15 difference between the cylinders. As long as you have your manufacturer specification, you're fine. All cylinder low, well, you have burnt valves, you have a timing belt issue, or just a plain and simple tired engine. 1 or more, usually just a cylinder issue. 2 adjacent cylinders, well, that's probably a head gasket problem. Len, I'd rather not get to this compression portion because I think preventative maintenance, we're all about that. We can solve a lot of these problems prior to having a compression issue. Is that right?
That's correct. You want to run a simple test first, right, before you have to get more invasive with a compression test, and that can come in the form of fuel additives.
And fuel additives, let's address the cylinder itself. Do you have something down in there?
Well, true, you're going to bring it in the same way generally through the fuel, but what will happen is our performance improver or our upper cylinder lubricant is going to do the same job. It's going to help clean deposits away that could be performance robbing or could be causing a ring stick that would be a loss of compression. And what we've actually seen is carbon buildup in the actual crosshatches in the cylinder.
Wow, that's interesting. How can we prevent it altogether? I mean, maybe get it before it even gets into the cylinder.
right? You're going to add it to the fuel. That's the easiest way to get the additives in there. Put it in the fuel and go from there. Fairly simple.
Well, there you go. You don't even have to take a compression reading, but now you know how to. Make sure you check them out on amsoil.com.
Marcus Riedema is our motorhead of the week, and back in 1966, Marcus's dad Pete bought this brand new 1966 Ford Country Squire station wagon, and he was very proud of it. It carried the Riedemas on lots of family vacations, and it was Dad's daily driver for 22 years until it developed a knock in 1988. He parked it in the garage, and there it sat for 3 decades. When Pete's health began to decline in 2019, Marcus and his family set out to restore the car in his honor. And once the major mechanical stuff was done, Pete was able to go for a ride in his old pride and joy. Sadly, he passed away just a few weeks later, but Marcus has restored the car to its original glory so his children can connect to their grandfather and to their dad's childhood. And the result is what may be the world's finest example of a 1966 Country Squire. Do you love cars like Marcus and his father? Well, if you do, you could be our Motorhead of the Week. Just drop us a note at motorheadgarage.tv. We'll talk about you here on the show. We do this every single week here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. We hope you come along for the ride next time. Until then, we'll see you. Drive safely.